What's going on, everybody? It is Jake. I am back. So I'm gonna read some of the Law of One, and then I gotta go. So let's see. I gotta remind myself in 40 minutes from now to start my car and let it warm up. It is literally 8 degrees here, so it's cold. So I gotta remember to do that. But yeah, I am back. As you guys can tell, I shaved. I really didn't want to. I really like being like scruffy and having the big mustache and beard, but I kind of got to keep a good image at the same time, so you guys know how this works. So I think I look skinnier too, like this, so awesome. Can't complain about that. But anyways, guys, so as you guys can see, I got my cool background. I got my elephants. And then I got a really cool gift, 2 gifts. So that dog back there, and then that really cool, look at my thumb. So right there, that's really cool. It's like a scroll thing you open up and then you hang it. So I know you guys probably can't read it, but it just says, "Become loyal to your innermost truth. Follow the way when all others abandon it. Walk the path of your own heart." So I thought that was really, really awesome. That was a really nice Christmas present because the people who got me it knew that I already got the elephant thing. So it was kind of something to add with that. So hope you guys like that. I might add something on this side. I really don't need to. Plus I got that light switch there, so I don't know if that'll work. But I might start doing more videos where I'm sitting down in that other chair and you can see the background more when I do that, which is cool. I just thought, sometimes it gets boring just sitting in a plain old room. Might as well give it some color, give it something cool. So that was my intentions behind that. And then, so I'll read the Law of One, but I also got a couple books. And I read half of one today, and I absolutely want to share it with you guys. This book is so far amazing, and you know how we've talked about the different color rays, how the chakra systems within us or within the universe, that ties into the Law of One. It goes through the rays, it goes through the light bodies. That's really what this book is about. So I got 3 of them, 3 new books. So now I have like 7 books I have to read. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to take so long. So it's overwhelming, but at the same time, I'm excited. So the first book, this is the one that I've been reading today. I'm about halfway through, like I said. It's called What is Light Body? And so Archangel Ariel is channeled by Tashira Tachi Ren. So I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Here is the cover. So this book absolutely is just amazing so far. I mean, it's really funny because all these books are almost the same. They're channeled messages just from different beings. But this incorporates a lot of like what the Law of One talks about. So I'll read this off for sure. And like with the light bodies it talks about, which I really, really like. I never really knew about the 12 levels of the light bodies. I think I'm on the 7th activation. Just from what I read today. I got to like the 9th light body. But just from what I read, I think I'm on the 7th. I'm not too sure. So the 7th is when you're opening up to your telepathic and the multi-dimensional self, and like you're kind of getting grounded and used to all that stuff. Kind of like after you activate it, it just becomes part of your life. So I think that's where I'm at. I don't know. And then the other one, which is kind of funny. I'm really grateful for this book, but I've never read any of the Cryon books. And if you guys know, like Michelle, I know you definitely know, Cryon is extremely helpful. But I got book 2 as a gift, and I haven't read book 1 yet. So I'm going to order book 1 and then read that first. And then read this. I just think it would make sense why start a series after the first one, But Cryon, Don't Think Like a Human, Channeled Answers to Basic Questions, book 2. So that's really awesome. And then the last book, my mom kept telling me to read this. So she ended up getting this for me when I went over to her house last night. Bridge of the Gods, a handbook for ascending humanity, the golden pathway to your highest God self. And I'm not trying to be negative here, but it's written by a reverend, so I hope this isn't religious. My mom is open to this stuff, but she's more on the religious side. She's not really she doesn't seek out stuff. She basically just takes what I tell her, So she recommended it, so it makes sense that, she recommended it and it's made by a reverend. But I'm not trying to make any bias, This could be an amazing book. Who knows? It's a huge book. It's thick. So that. I'm excited. And one thing, if you guys want to know, when it comes to channeling, this may make sense to some of you guys, this may not. Whatever, I don't care. But, they can only use what you have in your head. That's why I always say if you go back and watch my videos, if you go back and watch other channelers' videos, they use similar words all the time. If you watch Cryon, he uses the same words in all the videos, even though the message is different. I use a lot of words. Like, I've gone back and noticed that what I say is, and it's like really random, irrelevant things. Like when I'm channeling, I say like, many of you, like I start by saying like many of you a lot of times, or I'll use like the word accordance, I've noticed a lot. Or I'll just use certain words in like linear and non-linear. I use that kind of stuff. So, but they use what you have. So I don't know if this will make sense with you guys, but the more you read and you expand your third dimensional, I don't want to say logic. Logic's probably a bad word. But if you expand your inventory, and again, this is a bad word, if you take like your catalog of words and you expand it, when you channel, they're able to use more. So, oh God, I don't want to make the Baphomet sign, but it's like as above, so below, whatever. It's kind of like, if I open myself up lower here for more stuff, then the higher stuff will open up to more. So that's really how it works. For example, even though I don't really use like the raw stuff when I'm channeling, because that's not what it's for, I feel like reading this has helped me become a better channeler, because my perception changes and it gets bigger. And so my consciousness, I feel, at the same time kind of expands. So once your consciousness expands, if you look at, how everything is in accordance, then, that your channeling will expand. So that's just my opinion. That's what I know other people have said that. I think that's the truth, but whatever. So I just went to go look where I am with the Law of One. So after I finish this book, which I really want to finish because I have so much to do, I think I'm going to take one day. I'm going to try to make a day where I'm not going to do anything, make sure I don't have school, work, any responsibilities. And by the way, I go back to school in about 2 weeks, guys, so I may be more limited on here, but we'll see. Anyways, though, I may do a day where I read off, like, the second half of the book, just keep going and going and going. As soon as my hour goes, make another video and just push that stuff out there. So we'll see. I don't want to overdo it, don't want to ruin something good. But after this book, I'm going to read the Light Body book, or I may just read that in a day or two, like the certain parts that I like. It's a really small book, so we're not really going to like confuse things, if you will. Like I said, I read half of it today within an hour, so it's really short. But yeah, let's get into the cool information. So like I said in the last one, I was like, ooh, we're going to get into Lemuria and Atlantis now. So this is going to be really exciting. So let's get into it, guys. And I just ran 7 miles. I'm exhausted, so got to drink a lot of water. But okay. I was wondering about the advent of the civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria, when these civilizations occurred, and where did they come from? This is the last question of this working. The civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria were not one but two. Let us look first at the Mu, which Mu is Lemurian entities. And before I read this, so many of us were around during those times. So if you end up getting a synchronicity or a vision in your head or anything, that ties to this stuff, really focus on it, because I feel like the most of us were there during those times. So this may awaken something in you. Who knows? They were beings of a somewhat primitive nature, but those who had very advanced spiritual distortions. The civilization was part of this cycle, experienced early within the cycle at a time of approximately 53,000 of your years ago. It was a helpful and harmless place which was washed beneath the ocean during a readjustment of your sphere's tectonic plates through no action of their own. They sent out those who survived and reached many places in what you call Russia, North America, and South America. The Indians, of whom you come to feel some sympathy in your social complex distortions, are the descendants of these entities. Like the other incarnates of this cycle, they came from elsewhere. However, these particular entities were largely from a second density planet which had some difficulty, due to the age of its sun, in achieving third density life conditions. This planet was from the galaxy Deneb. The Atlantean race was... Oh, and just to clarify, because when I first read this, I didn't know if they were talking about Native Americans or like Indians, and because it said the North American Indians, it's Native American. So just want to clarify that with you guys. The Atlantean race was a very conglomerate social complex which began to form approximately 31,000 years in the past of your space-time continuum illusion. And sorry, but that brings me to something. I read something, and I truly believe in this. Like, I have in this life, I do have like the Native American like heritage, in my family. But I did read somewhere that the Native Americans, it was through a channeling. Supposedly, they are the most like accurate with spirituality, and they're the most closest in their beliefs to the reality of things. I used to think it was Buddhism, but I guess it's the Native Americans. So if the Native Americans are descendants, if they're connected to Lemurians, that ties in perfectly. So. Okay. It was a slow-growing and very agrarian one until approximately 15,000 of your years ago. It reached quickly a high technological understanding, which caused it to be able to use intelligent infinity in an informative manner. We may add that they use intelligent infinity as well, manipulating greatly the natural influxes of the indigo or pineal ray from divine or infinite energy. Thus, they were able to create life forms. This they began to do instead of healing and perfecting their own mind-body-spirit complexes, turning their distortions towards what you may call negative. Approximately 11,000 of your years ago, the first of the what you call wars caused approximately 40% of its population to leave the density by means of disintegration of the body. The second and most devastating of the conflicts occurred approximately 10,821 years in the past, according to your illusion. This created an earth-changing configuration, and the large part of Atlantis was no more, having been inundated. 3 of the positively oriented of the Atlantean groups left this geographical locus before that devastation, placing themselves in the mountain areas of what you call Tibet, Peru, and Turkey. Do you have any brief questions before we close this meeting? Only one, other than what we can do to make the instrument more comfortable. I would like to have your definition of galaxy, the word galaxy as you have used it. We use the term known to your people by the sound vibration galaxy. We accept that some galaxies contain one system of planetary and solar groups. Others contain several. However, the importance of the locus in infinite time-space dimensionality is so little that we accept the distortion implicit in such an ambiguous term. Then the 9 humans get everything wrong, I swear. Then the 9 planets and sun, which we have here in our system, would you refer to that as a galaxy? We would not. How many stars would be approximately in a galaxy? Depends upon your galactic system. Your own, as you know, contains many, many millions of planetary entities and star bodies. I was just trying to get to the definition that you were using for galaxy. You mentioned a couple of times the term galaxy in reference to what we call a planetary system, and it was causing some confusion. Is there any way that we can make the instrument more comfortable? All right, so I'm going to skip that. Should we conclude the ritual that you have suggested that we use to call you in the book that will result from these sessions? This matter is of a small importance, for our suggestion was made for the purpose of establishing contact through this instrument with this group. And then by the way, the Moore Show, I know a lot of you guys probably are aware of the Moore Show. I think. Basically, this guy, he interviews channelers. I think he's making a documentary on channeling. And he just put up a video, so you guys go check out the Moore Show. He put up a video of the people who made the Law of One, and it's like an hour and a half. And I didn't know this, but I guess Carla, the one who was being the instrument for this, I think she passed away because they were saying like not rest in peace, but they were talking about her as if she passed. So because of this impact of this book and this information, send your energies to her, thank her, just look up, do whatever, and just thank her. Is it of any assistance to the instrument to have name and name present during these sessions? Does the number in the group make any difference in these sessions? The most important of the entities are the questioner and the vibratory sound complex, the name. The two entities additional aid the instrument's comfort by energizing the instrument with their abilities to share the physical energy complex, which is a portion of your love vibration. You said yesterday that Maldek was destroyed due to warfare. If Maldek hadn't destroyed itself due to warfare, would it have become a planet that evolved in self-service, and would the entities involved have increased in density and gone on to say the fourth density in the negative sense or the sense of self-service? The planetary social memory complex Maldek had in common with their own sphere the situation of a mixture of energy direction. Thus, it, though unknown, would most possibly have been a mixed harvest. A few moving to fourth density, a few moving towards fourth density in service to self, the great majority repeating third density. This is appropriate due to the fact that parallel probability vortices cease when action occurs and new possibility vortices are begun. Is there a planet opposite our sun in relation to us that we do not know about? There is a sphere in the area opposite your sun of a very, very cold nature, but large enough to skew certain statistical figures. This sphere should not properly be called a planet as it is locked in first density. You say that entities from Maldek might go to fourth density negative. Are there people who go out of our present third density to places in the universe and serve, which are fourth density self-service negative type of planets? Your question is unclear. Please restate. As our cycle ends and graduation occurs, is it possible for anyone to go from our third density to a fourth density planet that is of a self-service or negative type? We grasp now the specificity of your query. In this harvest, the possibility vortex is a harvest, though small, of this type. That is correct. Can you tell us what happened to Adolf Hitler? The mind-body-spirit complex known as Adolf is at this time in a healing process in the middle astral planes of your spherical force field. This entity was greatly confused, and although aware of the circumstance of change in vibratory level associated with the cessation of the chemical body complex, nevertheless needed a great deal of care. Is there anyone in our history who is commonly known who went to a fourth density self-service or negative type of planet, or any who will go there? The number of entities thus harvested is small. However, a few have penetrated the 8th level, which is only available from the opening up of the 7th through the 6th. Penetration into the 8th or intelligent infinity level allows a mind-body-spirit complex to be harvested if it wishes at any time/space during the cycle. Are any of these people known in the history of our planet by name? We will mention a few. The one known as Terrace Bulba, who I've never heard of. And then the one known as Genghis Khan, and the one known as Rasputin. So I know Genghis Khan and Rasputin. How did they accomplish this? What was necessary for them to accomplish this? All of the aforementioned entities were aware through memory of Atlantean understandings having to do with the use of the various centers of mind-body-spirit complex energy influx in attaining the gateway to intelligent infinity. Did this enable them to do what we refer to as magic? Could they do paranormal things while they were incarnate? This is correct. The first two entities mentioned made little use of these abilities consciously. However, they were bent single-mindedly upon service to self, sparing no effort in personal discipline to redouble, and so empower this gateway. The third was a conscious adept and also spared no effort in the pursuit of service to self. Where are these three entities now? So if you guys, I don't know if you guys want to connect to them, but if you can, now you can just imagine where they are. These entities are in the dimension known to you as fourth. Therefore, the space-time continua are not compatible. An approximation of the sphere-time locus of each would net no actual understanding. Each chose a fourth density planet which was dedicated to the pursuit of the understanding of the law of one through service to self, one in which you know as the Orion group, one in what you know as Cassiopeia, one in what you know as Southern Cross. However, these loci are not satisfactory. We do not have vocabulary for the geometric calculations necessary for transfer of this understanding to you. Who went to the Orion group? The one known as Genghis Khan. What does he presently do there? What is his job or occupation? This entity serves the Creator in its own way. Is it impossible for you to tell us precisely how he does this service? It is possible for us to speak to this query. However, we use any chance we may have to reiterate the basic understanding/learning that all beings serve the Creator. The one you speak of as Genghis Khan at present is incarnate in a physical light body which has the work of disseminating material of thought control to those who are of what you may call crusaders. Gotta catch my breath. He is, as you would term this entity, a shipping clerk. What do the crusaders do? The crusaders move in their chariots to conquer planetary mind, body, spirit, social complexes before they reach the stage of achieving social memory. Sounds like the Anunnaki. And that's just me. That's not in the book. At what stage does a planet achieve social memory? A mind, body, spirit, social complex becomes the social memory complex when its entire group of entities are of one orientation or seeking. The group memory lost to the individuals in the roots of the tree of mind then become known to the social complex, thus creating a social memory complex. The advantages of this complex are the relative lack of distortion in understanding the social beingness and the relative lack of distortion in pursuing the direction of seeking, for all understanding distortions are available to the entities of the society. Then we have crusaders from Orion coming to this planet for mind control purposes. How do they do this? As all, they follow the law of one, observing free will. Contact is made with those who call. Those then upon the planetary sphere act much as do you to disseminate the attitudes and philosophy of their particular understanding of the law of one, which is service to self. These become the elite. Through these, the attempt begins to create a condition whereby the remainder of the planetary entities are enslaved by their free will. It sounds like Earth. Can you name, third dimensional Earth. Can you name any names that may be known on the planet that are recipients of the Crusaders' efforts? I am desirous of being in non-violation of the free will distortion. To name those involved in the future of your space-time is to infringe, thus we withhold this information. We request your contemplation of the fruits of the actions of those entities whom you may observe enjoying the distortion towards power. In this way you may discern for yourself this information. We shall not interfere with the, shall we say, planetary game. It is not central to the harvest. And by the way, Ariel, sorry, I remember. So Ariel, Archangel Ariel, keeps referring to this as a game in this book. So, I don't know, just something that came to mind. Okay, how do the Crusaders pass on their concepts to the individuals on Earth? There are two main ways, just as there are two main ways of, shall we say, polarizing towards service to others. There are those mind-body-spirit complexes upon your plane who do exercises and perform disciplines in order to seek contact with the sources of information and power leading to the opening of the gate to intelligent infinity. There are others whose vibratory complex is such that this gateway is opened and contact with total service to self with its primal distortion of manipulation of others is then afforded with little or no difficulty, no training, and no control. What type of information is passed on from the Crusaders to these people? The Orion group passes on information concerning the law of one with the orientation of service to self. The information can become technical, just as some in the Confederation, in attempts to aid the planet in service to others, have provided what you would call technical information. The technology provided by this group is in the form of various means of control or manipulation of others to serve the self. Do you mean to say then that some scientists receive technical information, shall we say, telepathically that comes out then as usable gadgetry? This is correct. And this reminds me of something I was saying to someone earlier, not too long ago. The universe, universe is, the multiverse, omniverse, whatever you want to say, is huge. Almost anything you can think of is a reality somewhere. So it reminds me of, I was telling somebody recently that comic book people, if you go look at old comic books, they talk about Arcturians and cat people and reptilians and like all this stuff, all the ideas and innovators, it's all channeled to you. You may not know it. Like for example, like what I was saying, Stan Lee. Stan Lee has to have like direct communication, I swear. All these people who have these ideas, they're being channeled to you by the higher dimensions, You're always receiving help. However, very positively, as you would call this distortion-oriented, scientists have received information intended to unlock peaceful means of progress, which redounded unto the last echoes of potential destruction due to further reception of other scientists of a negative orientation/distortion. Is this how we learned of nuclear energy? Was it mixed with both positive and negative orientation? This is correct. The entities responsible for the gathering of the scientists were of a mixed orientation. The scientists were overwhelmingly positive in their orientation. The scientists who followed their work were of mixed orientation, including one extremely negative entity, as you would term it. Is this extremely negative entity still incarnate on Earth? This is correct. Interesting. Then I would assume that you can't name him. So I'll ask you where Nikola Tesla got his information. The one known as Nikola received information from Confederation sources, desirous of aiding this extremely, shall we say, angelically positive entity in bettering the existence of its fellow mind-body-spirit complexes. It is unfortunate, shall we say, that like many wanderers, the vibratory distortions of third density illusion cause this entity to become extremely distorted in its perceptions of its fellow mind-body-spirit complexes, so that its mission was hindered and in the result perverted from its purposes. So he didn't do what we expected him to do, or what they expected him to do. It didn't happen. That's why, there's so many things with Tesla, like there's so much potential that just, because of this 3D, it didn't happen, which sucks. How was Tesla's works supposed to benefit man on Earth, and what were its purposes? The most desired purpose of the mind-body-spirit complex Nikola was the freeing of all planetary entities from the darkness. Thus, it attempted to give the planet the infinite energy of the planetary sphere for use in lighting and power. By freeing the planetary entities from darkness, precisely what do you mean? And then it says, most of this answer was lost due to the tape recorder malfunction. Okay, so all it says is we spoke of freeing people from darkness in a literal sense. So, just the free energy, I guess. Would this freeing from darkness be commensurate with the law of one, or does this have any real product? The product of such a freeing would create two experiences. Firstly, the experience of no need to find the necessary emolument for payment in your money for energy. Secondly, the leisure afforded, thereby exemplifying possibility and enhancing the probability of the freedom to then search the self, the beginning of seeking the law of one. Few there are working physically from daybreak to darkness, as you name them, upon your plane, who can contemplate the law of one in a conscious fashion. What about the Industrial Revolution in general? Was this planned in any way? This will be the final question of this session. That is correct. Wanderers incarnated in several waves, as you may call them, in order to bring in existence the gradual fraying from the demands of the diurnal cycles and lack of freedom of leisure. That was the last question, so I will do as usual and ask if there's anything we can do to make the instrument more comfortable. So I'm going to skip. Okay. In the last session, you mentioned that the Orion Crusaders came here in chariots. Would you describe the chariots? The term chariot is a term used in warfare among your peoples. That is its significance. The shape of the Orion craft is one of the following. Firstly, the elongated ovoid shape, which is of a darker nature than silver, but which has a metallic appearance if seen in the light. In the absence of light, it appears to be red or fiery in some manner. Other craft include disc-shaped objects of a small nature, approximately 12 feet in your measurement in diameter. The box-like shape approximately 40 feet to a side in your measurement. Other craft can take on a desired shape through the use of thought control mechanisms. There are various civilization complexes which work within this group. Some are more able to use intelligent infinity than others. The information is very seldom shared, therefore the chariots vary greatly in shape and appearance. Is there any effort on the part of the Confederation to stop the Orion chariots from arriving here? Every effort is made to quarantine this planet. However, the network of guardians, much like any other pattern of patrols on whatever level, does not hinder each and every entity from penetrating quarantine. For if request is made in light love, the law of one will be met with acquiescence. If the request is not made due to the slipping through the net, then there is penetration of this net. Who makes this request? Your query is unclear. Please restate. I don't understand how the Confederation stops the Orion chariots from coming through the quarantine. There is contact at the level of light form or light body being, depending upon the vibratory level of the Guardian. These guardians sweep reaches of your Earth's energy field to be aware of any entities approaching. An entity which is approaching is hailed in the name of the one creator. Any entity thus hailed is bathed in love light and will of free will obey the quarantine due to the power of the law of one. What would happen to the entity if he did not obey the quarantine after being hailed? To not obey quarantine after being hailed on the level of which we speak would be equivalent to your not stopping upon walking into a solid brick wall. That's kind of funny. What would happen to the entity if he did this? What would happen to his chariot? The Creator is one being. The vibratory level of those able to breach the quarantine boundaries is such that upon seeing the love light net, it is impossible to break this law. Therefore, nothing happens. No attempt is made. There is no confrontation. The only beings who are able to penetrate the quarantine are those who discover windows or distortions in the space-time continuous surrounding your planet's energy fields. And I don't know why something's telling me this, but I'm getting reptilian. So that's just what I'm getting. Through these windows they come. These windows are rare and unpredictable. Does this account for what we call UFO flaps, where a large number of UFOs show up like in 1973? This is correct. Are most of the UFOs which are seen in our skies from the Orion group? That's interesting. Many of those seen in your skies are of the Orion group. They send out messages. Some are received by those who are oriented towards service to others. These messages then are altered to be acceptable to those entities while warning of difficulties ahead. This is the most that self-serving entities can do when faced with those whose wish is to serve others. The contacts which the group finds most helpful to their cause are those contacts made with entities whose orientation is towards service to self. There are many thought form entities in your skies which are of a positive nature and are the projections of the Confederation. Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta go do something really quick. I can hear my laundry just stopped and I have to put it in the dryer. So I'm on a time restraint, so give me 1 minute at the most. So apologize for this, guys. if I want to wear warm stuff later when I go out, I have to have it dry. So, my bad. All right. The contacts which the group finds most helpful to their cause are those contacts made with entities whose orientation is towards service to self. There are many thought-form entities in your skies which are of a positive nature and are the projections of the Confederation. You mentioned that the Orion Crusaders, when they get through the net, give both technical and non-technical information. I think I know what you mean by technical information, but what type of non-technical information do they give? And am I right in assuming that this is done by telepathic contact? This is correct. So if you don't think you're telepathic, I'm telling you, and you got proof right here, everyone is telepathic. You got to open up your abilities, you know? You got to look inside yourself. That's why I really want to read that alchemy book so bad to you guys, because, like I've said, this is great and all, but this isn't going to do you guys, I'm going to be honest here, this isn't going to do you guys any good if you don't work on yourself. You know, it's kind of like, what's the, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. This is so stupid. I don't know why this came into my head. It's like, you know, what's the point of having a car if you don't have any gas? You know, I don't know. It's like, you may see the big picture with all this stuff, but knowing isn't good enough. You have to really work on yourself. You have to purify yourself. So that's why I really want to read that, because this is great, and it's great to like know more and think about it, but you're not going to experience it unless you do your inner work, you know. But I've said that many times, so I'll shut up for now. Through telepathy, the philosophy of the law of one with the distortion of service to self is promulgated. I've never heard that word, so I'm sorry. In advanced groups, there are rituals and exercises given, and these have been written down just as the service to others oriented entities have written down in the promulgated philosophy of their teachers. The philosophy concerns the service of manipulating others that they may experience service towards the other self, thus through the experience becoming able to appreciate service to self. These entities would become oriented towards service to self and in turn manipulate yet others so that they in turn might experience the service towards the other self. Would this be the origin of what we call black magic? This is correct in one sense, incorrect in another. The Orion group has aided the so-called negatively oriented among your mind-body-spirit complexes. These same entities would be concerning themselves with service to self in any case, and there are many upon your so-called inner planes which are negatively oriented and thus available as inner teachers or guides, and so-called possessors of certain souls who seek the distortion of service to self. Is it possible for an entity here on Earth to be so confused as to call both the Confederation and the Orion groups in an alternating way? That's really interesting. First one, then the other, and then back to the first again. It is entirely possible for the untuned channel, as you call that service, to receive both positive and negative communications. If the entity at the base of its confusion is oriented towards service to others, the entity will begin to receive messages of doom. Interesting. The entity at the base of the complex of beingness is oriented toward service to self. The Crusaders, who in this case do not find it necessary to lie, will simply begin to give the philosophy they are here to give. Many of your so-called contacts among your people have been confused and self-destructive because the channels were oriented towards service to others, but in the desire for proof, were open to the lying information of the Crusaders, who then were able to neutralize the effectiveness of the channel. So you got to be careful, and you got to work on yourself, man. I mean, that's key. It's the truth. So how are we doing? Okay. Are most of these Crusaders fourth density? There is a majority of fourth density that is correct. Is an entity in the fourth density normally invisible to us? The use of the word normal is one which befuddles the meaning of the question. Let us rephrase for clarity. Man, these people got some patience dealing with us, man. The fourth density is by choice not visible to third density. It is possible for fourth density to be visible, however, it is not the choice of the fourth density entity to be visible due to the necessity for concentration upon a rather difficult vibrational complex, which is the third density you experience. So you're in 40 minutes? Okay. Are there any Confederation or Orion entities living upon the Earth and operating visibly among us in our society at this time? There are no entities of either group walking among you at this time. However, the Crusaders of Orion use two types of entities to do their bidding, shall we say. The first type is a thought form, the second a kind of robot. Oh, here we go. So I know I told you guys when I first read this book how they get into the Men in Black. So if you want to know about the Men in Black, here you go. Okay, could you describe the robot? The robot may look like any other being. It is a construct. Is the robot what is normally called the Men in Black? This is incorrect. Who are the Men in Black? The Men in Black are a thought form type of entity which have some beingness to their makeup. They have certain physical characteristics given to them. However, their true vibrational nature is without third density vibrational characteristics, and therefore they are able to materialize and dematerialize when necessary. Are all of these Men in Black then used by the Orion Crusaders? This is correct. So it's interesting. You spoke of wanderers. Who are wanderers? Where did they come from? Imagine, if you will, the sands of your shores. As countless as the grains of sand are the sources of intelligent infinity. When a social memory complex has achieved its complete understanding of its desire, it may conclude that its desire is service to others with a distortion towards reaching their hand figuratively to any entities who call for aid. These entities, whom you may call the brothers and sisters of sorrow, move toward this calling of sorrow. These entities are from all reaches of the infinite creation. Ow. Okay, something's trying to contact me. I'm getting a huge ringing. Ow. These entities are from all reaches of the infinite creation and are bound together by the desire to serve in this distortion. I'm getting an image of a woman that looks kind of like an elf being. All right, I'm gonna have to do a meditation on this. I'm getting loud ringing, and I just saw an image of a woman, so that's interesting. How many of them are incarnate on Earth now? The number is approximate due to a heavy influx of those birthed at this time due to an intensive need to lighten the planetary vibration and thus aid in harvest. The number approaches 65 million. Are most of these from the fourth density, or what density do they come from? Few there are of fourth density. The largest number of wanderers, as you call them, are of the sixth density. The desire to serve must be distorted towards a great deal of purity of mind and what you may call foolhardiness or bravery, depending upon your distortion complex judgment. The challenge/danger of the wanderer is that it will forget its mission, become karmically involved, and thus be swept into the maelstrom of which it had incarnated to avert the destruction. So, it's really hard because you can have a mission here and then you get sent down here and you get into all the crap and it can all go wrong. It really can. That's why you need the white light at all times. What could one of these entities do to become karmically involved? Could you give an example? An entity which acts in a consciously unloving manner in action with other beings can become karmically involved. Do many of these wanderers have physical ailments in this third density situation? And have you guys ever noticed, I know it could be just me, but have you guys noticed if you ever do something that you know is wrong, that's when I feel it the most. If you do something that you know is wrong, shit happens later on, Like, if you do something you know is wrong, you're not going to do good for the next, whatever amount of time. But every time I know I'm going to do something wrong, that I used to, and I went ahead and did it, man, did I regret it later. I swear. So, think about that. Do many of these wanderers have physical ailments in this third density situation? Due to the extreme variance between the vibratory distortions of third density and those of the more dense densities, if you will, wanderers have, as a general rule, some form of handicap. difficulty or feeling of alienation which is severe. The most common of these difficulties are alienation, the reaction against the planetary vibration by personality disorders, as you would call them, and body complex ailments indicating difficulty in adjustment to the planetary vibrations, such as allergies, as you would call them. Thank you. Is there anything we can do to make the instrument more comfortable? Okay. All right, well, my 40 minutes hit. So instead of leaving you guys again and wasting your time, I'm just going to end it now. All right, we're more than halfway. Awesome. Let me see, just to give you guys clarity as well. Okay, we're on page 129. And there is... All right, we have less than 100 pages to go. So, all right. So the last page is 226, around 129. So, okay. We can do this, though. We can do this. There's no problem. No problem. So, I'm going to go heat my car up, and then I am going to go to the store. So, I will be back tomorrow for either... maybe a channeling, we'll see, either channeling or, I think, yeah, Harry wanted me to do a video on Reiki and stones. So if you guys want me to do a video on Reiki and stones, I can do that as well. I have a Reiki bed downstairs I can bring up here. Like, I have a full-on salon Reiki bed, so I can set it up. And I can go through the hand motions, you know, and all the Reiki stuff. So I can do that and just explain what Reiki is to you guys if you guys want. No issue. And it's 444, so excuse me because I'm being normal on here, but fuck yes. So it's 444. That's awesome. So I'm gonna go, guys. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. It is cold where I'm at. I don't know where it is with you guys, so stay warm. Be careful when it snows. People drive like they've never driven before, so be safe. I'll talk to you guys later. Blessings, and thank you for watching. All right, guys.